All right, I'm sure the headline drew you in. Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, sample size. Yes, it is still too small. I know that there's going to be some bickering on the Brock Purdy front. Playoff games this, playoff games that. I'm sorry. 7 starts, 8 total games if you include that Miami game. I know you could say 8 starts if you include Philadelphia, but we all know that was a possession long. He hasn't even played half a season in the NFL yet. And one of the most respected minds that there is when it comes to film analysis is Greg Cosell of NFL Films. And here's what he said. This is from Matt Mayoko's podcast via 95.7 The Game. Take a look at this, or take a listen to this from Greg Cosell.
One of the great things about Purdy was that he did not make what you'd call bad throws. Could he have thrown a few more picks? Obviously, Diggs dropped the interception at the end of the first half in that game against Seattle, which was only he could tell you why he threw that. I couldn't, because he threw it right to Diggs. But he also started to miss a few things the last 2 weeks where they were designed to fine read throws, and for whatever reason, he didn't turn it loose. He just, I don't know, maybe he didn't see. I can't answer that. Only he could. I'm not saying that he did not have a good year, and the story is phenomenal, but 6, 7 games is not enough to decide that a guy is either bad, in some cases, or great.
Exactly. 6, 7 games, 8 games, whatever you say, is not enough to make a final determination. And what Cosell said was really interesting, because Kyle Shanahan is going to have a lot of first read action at his offense where he's counting on the quarterback to let it rip to that first read. That guy's going to be open. If you look at some of the charts regarding receiver separation, Brock Purdy threw to more wide open receivers than any other quarterback in the NFL by a wide margin. He had the benefit of not only Kyle Shanahan, but also of Christian McCaffrey in that offense. We saw Jimmy Garoppolo have the same benefit, and the offense was rip-roaring with number one efficiency, even with Garoppolo and McCaffrey and company. Purdy came in, was better in the red zone. They played some worse defenses. He didn't have to face that Saints defense, which I think was pretty good, but he was better in the red zone. He did some off-schedule stuff that I think helped the 49ers on some third down situations. I don't think was as efficient as Garoppolo on the on-schedule stuff, especially late, and that's exactly what Greg Cosell said. He missed a couple of those first reads that Kyle Shanahan's going to pre-cook into the offense. Now, listen to this. Remember the Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, ice in my veins moment in Las Vegas? I think this is a great, great teaching moment, an illustrative moment of what Greg Cosell was talking about. Touchdown to George Kittle was one of the most spectacular throws that we've seen the 49ers quarterback make in quite some time, right? Brock Purdy buys time, rolls to his left, flips his hips, and then throws a dime to the back of the end zone on only a trajectory that George Kittle can catch, off schedule, gets both feet in bounds. 49ers score in Vegas against the Raiders. The only problem was that Juwan Jennings had run a simple out pattern on the opposite side of the field, and if Purdy had let the ball go to Jennings, who was supposed to be the first read right away, that would have been an easy touchdown. It would not have been the difficult, spectacular touchdown that it was to George Kittle. Kyle Shanahan is about the process, not just the results. And John Lynch told this story. Kyle Shanahan was upset initially that Brock Purdy missed an open Juwan Jennings. That's exactly what Greg Cosell was just talking about, that he wasn't hitting some of those first reads, especially as the season progressed, that he was making stuff a little bit more exciting than it had to be. So Shanahan staring down Brock Purdy, who's celebrating, ice cold stare. John Lynch is watching all of this, and Purdy does the whole ice in my veins gesture towards Shanahan. He's fired up. That caused Shanahan to crack into a laugh. This is how I think that Purdy is a guy. Because obviously he wasn't doing stuff exactly right. Who would even expect him to do stuff exactly right as a rookie? But he still had the guts. He still had the moxie. He still had the, just the presence to be able to celebrate while the coach is glaring at him. And he got his own head coach, Kyle Shanahan, who's a stickler about this kind of stuff, to laugh. And I think it's a lot harder to teach the off-schedule stuff, that kind of stuff, that's an innate talent, than it is to teach the on-schedule stuff. They can get Purdy throwing to his first read. It's a lot harder to get a quarterback to roll out, flip his hips, and throw to the fourth, fifth, or sixth read. I know it only goes up to 5 on a play. And I think Kittle might have been 5 on that play. Kittle laughed after that when he was asked if he was high up in the progression. He said, "Oh, God, no. I was like last in the progression." So Purdy is doing some of the more cinematic stuff really well, but Greg Cosell said it himself. He's not doing some of the bread and butter stuff with enough consistency for the 49ers to be fully comfortable in this situation. And that's why, coronating anyone after 6, 7, 8 games, especially when the 49ers have the situation that they do in the quarterback room, coronating anyone is completely foolish. Purdy's going to undergo surgery here on Wednesday, the 22nd. We'll see how that goes on his UCL, see if they could put in that internal brace without further complication, no hybrid surgery, get him back for training camp around then. He can continue his impressive rookie season. He can continue where he left off. But Trey Lance is slated to be full go much ahead of Brock Purdy. And hey, right here, the truth is that the sample size is too small for both Purdy and Lance. People want to make sweeping generalizations in both directions on both of these players. For Purdy, everybody wants to say he's a finished product. He's the next Tom Brady. Put him in there. Quarterback competition. What's that? It's Brock Purdy's job. That's wrong because the sample size isn't big enough. And the people trying to discount Trey Lance are wrong because that sample size certainly isn't big enough due to some of these injuries. The 49ers wouldn't have traded all that they did to move up for Trey Lance if they didn't believe he could develop. Because guess what? He was raw when they picked him. It's not like Trey Lance's rawness is something new. The 49ers believed that they could have moldable clay in Trey Lance. They could mold that clay into something great. And I think they still believe that. Will they be able to do it? I don't know. Does Brock Purdy's presence potentially complicate that? Of course, because Purdy played really well last year. But again, as Greg Cosell just told you, it wasn't a small sample size. So everybody pump the brakes. Realize that just because the team was winning, don't ascribe team stats to players. Look at it in a nuanced fashion. Quarterback is the most important position on the field. So Brock Purdy obviously played really well for the 49ers to win all those games. But he also was surrounded by what I think was the best roster in football. And he also was missing some first reads, as has been very, very well documented, not only by Greg Cosell, but by John Lynch, by Kyle Shanahan, by Brock Purdy himself. He has to get better within the pocket. He can't always be trying to bail, or he'll run into the Russell Wilson problem, which is not seeing those first reads, not seeing the middle of the field. Purdy is not the tallest quarterback, so that can be an issue, but the NFL will figure you out if you can't deliver and step up in the pocket. In fact, Purdy got figured out against the Philadelphia Eagles when Hassan Reddick got him a step up in the pocket on that play. A quick release to the primary read downfield. Brandon Ayuk probably avoids that injury. So this is a work in progress, and it's possible to both be a good rookie quarterback and a sensational story and somebody who needs some more polishing simultaneously. Both things can be true at once. It can also be possible for Trey Lance to have looked really rough around the edges and still have great potential moving forward. Both things can be true at once. Let go of the black and white thinking on both Brock Purdy and Trey Lance and let things develop organically, because I can guarantee you that the 49ers are really happy that they have a chance to let this develop organically. It's a good situation for them, especially if Purdy's surgery goes well on Wednesday. They've got 2 quarterbacks, rookie deals, relatively inexpensive, a chance to build the roster around them, and a chance to just wait and see which guy steps up and better runs with the opportunity. Any analyst who claims that a fully determined take can be crafted on either Purdy or Lance based on what's been seen so far is not credible, is out of their minds. So let's sit back and enjoy the option power that the 49ers have. And I'm sure they'll bring in some more option power with some quarterback signings this offseason. All right, everybody take care.